was confrontational, profane, and non-compliant. She assaulted a deputy and used racially derogatory statements against the arresting deputy, Michelle Reed, who is an African-American female and assigned to the Rural Enforcement and Outreach Unit. She made numerous accusations of bias and was confrontational with caregivers at the hospital. We cannot show you several expert excerpts from Nicole Mallory at the hospital in order to protect her HIPAA privacy rights. After she refused medical care, she was transported to the jail where she was booked in. I will now show you the recording of Deputy Reed interacting with Nicole Mallory during the booking process at the jail.
We're watching now live the sheriffs. I told you they were going to be dropping all the a lot of the video that they had, you know, really exposing what really went down out there in Colorado. So I'm just going to let it play here, and then we'll just keep right on going, okay? I'll explain when I can get a chance to cut in, but I'm just going to let them do their thing here, okay? This is footage basically showing, you know, when she made the claim that she was denied any kind of medical care because she was complaining that she was injured, and she was not. They showed video footage proving that was not the case at all. Right now, this is them taking her to the hospital, and they're showing all of that right now. And then they said she was very disrespectful to the doctors, to medical personnel, all of that stuff here. So we're just going to let it continue to play here. Again, I know it's hard to hear. This is body cam footage. You know, they had made the allegation that she was denied any kind of medical care when they actually arrested her. And this is video footage showing the direct opposite, that she did in fact receive medical care. Another thing that this couple did not acknowledge was that there was a black woman who was one of the police officers that was on scene, on site, and she was very disrespectful towards that black police officer, who really wasn't trying to do anything but to get her to stop screaming. They're just, what you're looking at right now, they're trying to give her medical care. She asked for it.
On April 27th, 2021, disputes over the easements begin with Nicole Mallory calling in a complaint that a neighbor is grazing animals on her land. The neighbor was Teresa Clark. The complaint was Teresa Clark was grazing animals in the easement. This begins the repeated disputes over property lines, access, and boundaries. On May 11th, 2021, Nicole and Courtney Mallory called in to report an unidentified male trespassing on their property. Deputies were able to locate the male, who was suffering from a medical episode to include exhaustion, disorientation, and trouble maintaining his balance. There were significant concerns for his welfare, and he was transported to the hospital via AMR. On May 14th, May 14th, 2021, Courtney Mallory called EPSO dispatch because he was concerned for his safety after the murder of his ranch hand. He requested EPSO patrol check the area to ensure his safety. There was an active investigation into the murder of Donasanio Amaya, and there is a person of interest in this case. Nicole and Courtney Mallory were interviewed in this investigation because the victim did work for them. Several social media sites contain accusations that EPSO Sergeant Ray Gerhart of murdering Donaciano at the Mallory property. At no time during their interview did Nicole or Courtney Mallory express their concern that Sergeant Gerhart murdered the ranch hand. Sergeant Gerhart is in no way a suspect in this investigation. The accusation of his involvement did not arise until after he authored the arrest warrants for Nicole and Courtney Mallory. On August 11th, 2021, Nicole Mallory confronted a father and son on South Loppe Road regarding their alleged trespassing on the Mallory property. The victim was recording at the time of the interaction, and it was determined that the victim was in the public access portion of the roadway. Nicole Mallory allegedly brandished a rifle during the heated exchange. Nicole Mallory was served and released for harassment and child abuse at the office of the sheriff. This case is currently in adjudication. Between August 2021 and September 2022, EPSO dispatch received numerous calls from the Mallory family, Teresa Clark, and many other residents in the area. Deputies responded both in person and by phone to these calls for service. Numerous cases were taken to include restraining order violations, criminal mischief, and trespass. Teresa Clark was the reporting party on approximately 46 calls for service. Nicole Mallory was the reporting party on approximately 47 calls for service. Courtney Mallory was the reporting party on approximately 11 calls for service. An additional 9 calls were made by other residents or involved parties in the area. There are also an additional 13 field interview records associated with the involved parties. In late August to early September of 2022, the Miami Yoder School District had to relocate a bus stop at the corner of Truckton Road and South Loppe Road to 1/4 mile east on Truckton Road. This was because Nicole Mallory would routinely sit in her vehicle at the bus stop, preventing a neighbor with whom Nicole Mallory had a protection order against from picking up their children at the stop. Nicole Mallory does not have any children attending Miami Yoder. On September 1st, 2022, deputies took a case for restraining order violation with Nicole Mallory as the victim. Nicole Mallory alleged that Teresa Clark violated a protection order by entering the disputed easement and photographing the surveillance cameras on the Mallory property that were pointed at the Clark household. Teresa Clark was arrested on a warrant issued by EPSO deputies. This case is also in adjudication. On September 13th, 2022, a deputy called Courtney Mallory by phone regarding an alleged restraining order violation where Mr. Mallory was the reporting party. Mr. Mallory also complained that his dog was poisoned. The deputy asked for additional information as well as requested Courtney Mallory take the dog to the veterinarian. Unsatisfied with the conversation, Nicole Mallory contacted a supervisor. During that conversation, the sergeant and Nicole Mallory concluded that Nicole Mallory will call back at a later date that evening with additional information, and with that information, a case would be generated for the poisoning of the dog. We have no record of Nicole Mallory calling back with the requested information. On September 20th, 2022, Sergeant Gerhart began an investigation into stalking allegations against Nicole and Courtney Mallory after repeated complaints from Teresa Clark. The investigation revealed that Nicole and Courtney Mallory had active surveillance on the Teresa Clark residence. They would routinely arrive in the area within moments to minutes of Teresa Clark going outside of her house. And Nicole and Mallory would taunt Teresa Clark from the property line. Teresa Clark maintained a detailed stalking log, a document provided to her by the website stalkingawareness.org. She also recorded many of these interactions. On November 22nd, 2022, Sergeant Gerhardt's investigation was reviewed by me and the district attorney. An arrest warrant was presented for review and approval to Judge Ankeny with the 4th Judicial District. An arrest warrant was issued for Nicole Mallory, as well as a search warrant for the seizure of 3 surveillance cameras and associated equipment located at the Mallory property. These cameras and motion detectors were more than 1.3 miles from the Mallory homestead, but less than 100 yards from the Clark home. Additional review led the district attorney's office to conclude Courtney Mallory was also implicated in this case. On December 14th, 2022, an arrest warrant was issued for Courtney Mallory. Nicole Mallory turned herself in to the Elbert County Sheriff's Office on December 19th, 2022. Courtney Mallory was arrested by Colorado State Patrol on February 20th, a traffic stop, and he was booked into the El Paso County Jail. After the arrest of Courtney Mallory, there continues to be numerous additional calls for service, as well as active investigations to include animal cruelty, intimidation of a victim, harassment, and menacing, all in this area. The cases are all active investigations, and I will not be able to comment on them further. I will now open it up to the media for a few questions for Sheriff Roybal and me.
Okay, so the sheriff, he just went through, all the different affidavits and stuff that was issued out. They showed some video. I'm going to try to see if I can locate the video from the beginning, because they were showing, Nicole and when she was arrested, and
yes, ma'am.
contradicting what they were putting out in social media.
Of all of the facts in this case, as you know them, and all of these calls for service, during this time, has there ever been a need or a want by you to have a third-party independent investigation on, just to look at all of the information as well, to make sure that you are doing your due diligence, to make sure there's nothing else there that you haven't uncovered or missed?
That is something that I'm considering right now after that initial review. As you can imagine, those number of reports take quite some time, but that is something that I'm not afraid of having.
Greta Anderson, Thomas with 6235. So it sounds like, could you clarify, there was no reports taken by your office prior to this incident with the legal processor? Have the Mallorys complained about any incidents before that?
Prior to that incident with the process server, there's almost no activity in this area. It is relatively concurrent with the Mallorys moving to the property.
And I have another question about that incident with the legal processor. Do they typically show up in unmarked vehicles? No, they're not uniformed. And I was also wondering, Nicole Mallory's response of brandishing a weapon when somebody she presumes is trespassing on her property, was that itself illegal?
The process server is a private citizen, and as allowed by law, he was contracted by the person to go out and serve Courtney Mallory. Brandishing a weapon is not necessarily against the law unless you use it in a threatening manner, such as to fire rounds off as the person is trying to flee the property.
Odell Eisen is that when, if at all, will Deputy Gerhardt be available to answer questions?
I don't believe Sergeant Gerhardt will be available. Any accusations of misconduct have been investigated. I am hoping, and I'm making myself available to the Mallorys through the Black and Latino Leadership Coalition, and I'm hoping they reach out to me and to address any concerns, allow me that opportunity to address any concerns they have with that neutral party.
Stephanie Earls with the Gazette, and I'm sorry if you said this and I missed it, but can you tell us why the process server was there?
The information I have available is that there was a civil process from a court order, and that whoever that person was hired him to go serve Courtney Mallory with that civil process.
Last question.
Quinn with Caragio. Do the Mallorys have, I guess, access to that easement? Is that public property? Are they allowed to be on that easement?
I'm glad you asked that. That easement is a 60-foot wide piece of land. It is technically on the Mallory property. However, it is set aside by the county for access to all the landlocked properties back there. There are access gates for several property owners, to include the Mallorys and the Clarks.
Just a quick follow-up. The stalking charges, can you kind of go into what makes a stalking arrest? Them having security cameras on their own property and being on the easement, which is public property, why would that constitute stalking?
So if you look at statute, you are not allowed to record other individuals on a lengthy basis. And due to the constant surveillance on the Clark property, as well as the use of that surveillance to time their arrival with Ms. Clark, as well as showing up and taunting her, the district attorney as well as a judge agreed that that constitutes a violation. If you go and actually look at Colorado revised statutes, it's very self-explanatory.
Okay, so make sure you guys make a note of that. I'm making notes here, and we'll go over this.
Thank you all for joining us today. The case reports will be released by the El Paso County Sheriff's Office via their website at www.epcsheriffsoffice.com. For additional information related to these cases, please reach out to their lead PIO, Lieutenant Deborah Minot.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it here. Let me see if this thing will allow me to go, how far will allow me to go here. Hold on. I'm trying to see if it'll let me go, because I'm trying to get back to near the beginning. This was being streamed on their on the on the website of kktv.com, and I'm gonna see if I can get. I'm just gonna keep tapping it here and see if I can get back to it, because the other video that I want you to see, and I'm sure they'll make this available on YouTube. I just try to look and see if I can find it. I'll look again, in a little bit if this is not working for me. But just to recap again, for those that are just joining us, we were just watching the live broadcast from the Sheriff's Department in Colorado Springs regarding the issue of the black ranchers in the Colorado Springs area. And they showed, I wasn't aware of it. I knew they were going to do one soon, but it kind of popped up on me. We were actually streaming some independent news over on mybondtube.com, and we'll resume that probably a little bit later. But I'm going to see if I can get to the beginning of this press conference here. And in this press conference, again, just to recap, they showed a few videos that contradicted, and this is what we were showing. This is what we were telling on this platform again, that you got to wait until all the information comes out. And, I said, because they have video evidence that shows that, the Mallorys, what they were putting out wasn't the full story. In fact, it was a lot of exaggeration that was put in there. Let me see if I'm at the point right now. I'm just kind of fiddling around a little bit. I took some notes here. I'm gonna see if they will, if I got to the point where I can, if they're gonna show that video here. Just give me a moment while I'm trying to figure this out here, okay? And if we can't get it, that's okay, because it will be available. I'm sure they'll make this available over on here on YouTube. And again, this is being broadcasted via KKTV. And I don't know what these. Now I got traffic on here. Okay, let me see. Did I go too far back? Hold on, let me see. Maybe, but anyway, just so to recap one more time, he just concluded the press conference, where the police had the opportunity to present their evidence to show that what the Mallorys, this is the black rancher couple that took to social media and were saying that they were being racially profiled and that the community was coming against them and attacking them and poisoning their animals and all this other stuff. And they have the evidence to show that, unfortunately, just about all of that, from what the evidence that they're showing, that was not true at all. Okay. So we're going to go through, unfortunately, this is not working for me here. So while I'm talking here, I'll just bring this up here, and then I'll try to look and see if I can take a look at see if I can find the rest of the press conference on there. But what I did see though was she was placed in the police car, in the back of a police car. There was a black officer, it was a female, that was trying to get her to, trying to explain basically, this is why you're being arrested, going through the process. And Nicole Mallory was just screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming. They weren't even touching her. And just when the black officer was like trying to put her hand on her, not in like, I'm going to beat you up. It was just, sis, relax. It was like Nicole Mallory knew that, hey, let me amp this up a little bit. So she started screaming even more, like, oh, you know how, like, if you motion towards someone and it's like, you don't even touch them, and you would have thought she got shot or something. And that it wasn't that at all. They were like, listen, we're trying to explain to you what's going on here. And it's, you ain't making any of this easy at all. We're going to go through the details here. I'm going to go on YouTube real quick and see if I can get that footage here. And I would encourage you to look it up on, let's see, KKTV. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. El Paso County. All right, police press conference. Hopefully I can get it. Five minutes ago. Okay. This might be it here. Hold on. All right, let me see.
Related to this arrest, some members of the
you can't see it yet. I'm just kind of pulling it up right now. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this is it. I found it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and stream this, but let me give you some quick notes here again. Some of the notes that I took down, just so that everybody's. Someone said, why would they lie about it? It's anybody's guess. I told you. We said from the beginning. Like I said, when we first started covering this, I repeatedly said, first of all, I was like, this is not right. Family, we need to support this couple here. It's 2023. You can go back and look at the video. And I was encouraging people, y'all need to support them. And I also mentioned the fact that because they're ranchers, they have a lot of meat. Maybe you can figure out how to purchase their meat. That'll be another way that you can support them and all of that. The first video, you check the record, go back. We were encouraging people to go and support them. But at the same time, I was saying, but we're going to continue to look into this story so that we can get as much information as possible before we make a serious investment of our time and resources in trying to drum up the troops on all this stuff. So, and that's what we continue to do. And the more I started looking into this story, I began to see a lot of inconsistencies. There was things that were not adding up. And with everything, I kept documenting it. I kept, posting it the whole time. I have folks, saying that, you got to pick a side, this kind of stuff. And it's like, no, our only side is the truth. Okay. So anyway, let me go to, all right. So let's see. So one of the things when it comes to the stalking charge, and then I'm just going to go through some of the quick notes that I took. When it comes to the stalking charge, where they get that from was there was a couple of things. One of which is she approached, meaning Nicole Mallory, approached I guess it was a neighbor with their child. They had a child. And I guess there was some yelling match going back and forth. There was a back and forth yelling match, and they're going to explain all of this here, when we show this press conference here. And then at that point, it was like she pulled out a gun, according to them. Okay. According to the actual police report. Regardless of what this situation is about, you can't be the person pulling out a gun in a situation like that, especially if you have a child in the mix. And from what they're saying is there was no threat to her at all. It's just that that was just something she did. They'll give more information. Okay. Don't just log off and just go about your business. If you want to hear the rest of it, we're going to show it. I'm just going through some of the notes I took here. Another thing is that there's a bus stop near their property, and the property, because you have the Mallorys and then you have the Clarks that are next to them. And then there's an easement between them. All right. And so what they were doing, another thing they were doing is that they would Nicole Mallory would sit at the bus stop and use that as a place where she would constantly was just like kind of stalking the neighbors, the people next door. Again, you got the Mallory's property and then you got the Clark's property. There's a bus stop somewhere in between. Nicole Mallory positioned herself at that bus stop, and it got so bad to where the county said, we're going to move this bus stop completely because I don't know what's going on, but we don't want the children involved in that. That's another big no-no. So that was another thing they did that they had to get her on. Okay. Another thing that they mentioned is that the Mallorys had made complaint that their dog was poisoned. All right. You remember they was going around and saying that, their animals were poisoned and all this other stuff. Right. Well, the police officer that went on site, he said, okay, if that's the case, please let us know, because she had mentioned, I guess, that she was going to take it to the vet or whatever. He said, let us know so that we can complete the report and we can file whatever charges we need to do. Nicole Murray, according to the police, never followed back with them regarding positive or negative if the dog was in fact poisoned. So that never happened. Another thing they did was let's see, the cop that was giving the press conference. He said there's statutes in the county that say you cannot just randomly film people. In other words, if I have I have property right here, and let's say I'm pointing my cameras directly at my neighbor's house, you cannot do that. That's illegal. You can't do that. When you're pointing right at somebody, that is illegal, and you can get in trouble for that. And so that was a whole nother thing. And so that's that. The whole issue about her running out of the house with no clothes on, all of that stuff. I think they're going to go through all of that as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go and I found the press conference. We're going to play it. And then if there's any other questions or anything like that, we'll see. We're just kind of working through all of this. But again, my hope, this isn't, don't interpret this as if I told you so. Don't interpret this as I'm pro cop. Just don't interpret it as anything. We are just looking at this and learning as we go. All right. That's all we're doing here. And then let's just continue to listen to it. And really that's it. So let me go ahead and pull this up on the screen and let's take a listen as they give this press conference. Again, this press conference just concluded. We're just watching it from the beginning. All right. I may stop in every now and then. All right.
Thereafter, El Paso County Sheriff Joe Roybal will give an overview, and Lieutenant Gonzalez will be offering a detailed briefing on this matter today. As stated, to protect the integrity of ongoing investigations, we cannot discuss or provide details on any cases that may be ongoing at this time. Following the briefing by Lieutenant Gonzalez, we will follow with a brief Q&A. At this time, I'd like to introduce El Paso County Board of County Commissioner District 4, Loginos Gonzalez. Commissioner.
Thank you. There has been confusion within our community regarding a dispute between neighbors in eastern El Paso County. The situation has created unnecessary tensions between our community and our neighbors, which is regrettable. We are committed to the safety and rights of everyone in our community. We have a responsibility to transparency and the truth. I am personally committed to transparency and truth, not just in this matter, but in all matters regarding our community. The public has the right to know all the facts about this case. That's why we're here today, to ensure the public keeps its faith and confidence in its county representation. We also ask all residents to work together to resolve conflict and find peaceful resolutions. I would like to now introduce Sheriff Joe Roybal.
Thanks, Commissioner. Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. I'm El Paso County Sheriff Joseph Roybal. I had the distinct pleasure and responsibility of serving the citizens of El Paso County as a sheriff and leading the sheriff's office in Colorado's most populous county. As you know, there has been recent attention given to a series of online articles published by the ARC Republic. With the first article published on January 16th, the article garnered interest with some media outlets and social media interests. Courtney and Nicole Mallory, who are the residents in eastern El Paso County, were featured in these articles, which detailed the Mallory's account to the author. The article largely described what the Mallorys perceive as racially motivated attacks by their neighbors against them, their animals, and their property, as well as accusations of racial discrimination against them on the part of the Sheriff's Office employees. Misinformation and the mischaracterization of my office and my employees has led to a level of uneasiness for many residents of Yoder and some members of my staff and family members who have been specifically targeted. Misinformation is greatly mitigated with balanced reporting when an article is published. The first article by the ARC Republic was done without comment from my office. The author has publicly stated she attempted to speak with the representative from my agency regarding these allegations. We have no record of such call. None of my command staff, my public information officers, nor I were ever contacted, despite the fact that our phone numbers and email addresses are easily found in our public website. Attention to this situation escalated on February 6th when Courtney Mallory was arrested during a traffic stop by the Colorado State Patrol for an active warrant. A fact misrepresented by the ARC in their article dated on February 7th when they stated Mr. Mallory was taken into custody by El Paso County deputy sheriffs. Portions of the arrest were live streamed by Nicole Mallory. I'd like to clear up the topic of Mr. Mallory's bond related to this arrest. Some members of the media and other local groups tried to imply he was held improperly on a no-bond hold in my jail following this arrest. The warrant itself had a $2,000 bond indicated. However, at the time of booking, my intake staff realized a $2,000 bond was inconsistent with state statute. Based on this stalking charge for which he was being booked. Stalking was one of 3 charges listed on the warrant. My staff notified the courts, who confirmed the error and in turn sent the jail an updated copy of the warrant indicating a revised no bond in accordance with state law. Since the time of Mr. Mallory's arrest, my office has received numerous emails and calls with people voicing concern with how we have handled the Mallory situation over the last 2 years and voicing concerns about racism and property rights, callers being unaware of the facts of our involvement, which is largely why we are here today. Of larger concern about the emails and calls are the threatening tone some have taken. People have threatened damage to our facilities and threatened violence towards my staff. In some cases, family members of staff. Let me be clear, no family member of my staff is connected to our calls for service or investigative efforts concerning Mr. and Mrs. Mallory, or the specific cases which you will hear about today. The threats and accusations are examples of the damage which can be done when misinformation gets ahead of the facts. In a few moments, you will hear from Lieutenant Chris Gonzalez, who will provide a higher level of detail as to the Sheriff's Office involvement with the Mallorys, as well as the residents in the Yoder area over the past couple of years. But here are some general facts important for you to know. Between 2021 and 2022, the time frame during which the issues arose and has persisted, the El Paso County Sheriff's Office personnel have responded to over 170 calls for service involving several addresses near Yoder. Most calls associated with these addresses were regarding criminal allegations lodged between property owners in this area against each other, as well as calls regarding a property easement dispute. During the same time, our law enforcement personnel responded to over 200,000 calls for service overall in unincorporated El Paso County. Of those 170 calls for service, there were 24 case reports taken. In an effort to be transparent and let the facts speak for themselves, we will make available all case reports which are not associated with an active investigation following this press conference. There have been 4 custodial arrests made during this time frame. Arrests stem from complaints initiated by the Mallorys and complaints initiated by others. I recognize we are human and we can always strive to do better. To that point, approximately a week ago, I directed my staff to review all reports taken and ensure we have done everything we should have during our response to these calls. This review found 2 events where we as an office could have done more during our investigation. Those 2 cases have been reactivated to ensure we work them more completely. One of these cases lists the Mallorys as the victim. Those 2 reports are not included in the packets released today since they are reactivated at this time. Also during this time frame, there have been 19 specific personnel complaints sent into my office alleging employee misconduct. All of those were investigated in accordance with office policy. I want to ensure the citizens of El Paso County, we at the Sheriff's Office, take our oath seriously. We are charged with protecting the constitutional rights of all citizens. We are charged with protecting those rights, and I'm confident our actions and responses to the calls and complaints in the Yoder community have been objective and based on facts and law, not on race. No one would be more eager than I to rid my office of a deputy sheriff who was racist and treating members of the community unfairly based on race. The Sheriff's Office conducts purposeful, initial, and ongoing employee education to prevent bias-based policing on the part of our members, to recognize it if it occurs, and to report it, and to hold such behavior accountable if witnessed. Again, we take all allegations of crime and civil rights violations seriously. In closing, as a reminder, I have reached out to the Black and Latino Leadership Coalition more than a week ago, asking for their assistance in coordinating a meeting to address ongoing concerns brought forward by Mr. and Mrs. Mallory. Thus far, no progress has been made due to some reluctance on the part of the Mallorys. I am hopeful the Mallorys will give me an opportunity to address their concerns.
All right, back
After
up.
all,
Sorry. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let's stop here. We're gonna stop right here. We're gonna take our time with this. Now, you heard what he just said. He said he reached out to the Black and Latino community. To sit down so that they can look at all what took place together. They ain't show up. And I'm going to tell you why they ain't show up. They ain't showing up because of the fact they started hearing what was going on. They saw what they were stepping into, and all of a sudden they moonwalking. You see this? I'm telling. This is why it got real quiet after that. We were sitting there. I'm following the story, and after a while it was like people on that side. I'm talking about the civil rights types groups. All of a sudden they got real quiet because they saw what was going on. Let's continue.
Yoder and those involved in this situation all want peace and to live their lives harmoniously. I will keep you informed of any progress made in this important effort. I now introduce to you Lieutenant Chris Gonzalez.
I would first like to thank everyone for coming to this press conference to seek both the truth and a resolution to the issues facing all involved parties. I would like to brief you on some pertinent information that might help portray a more accurate understanding of the situation as well as the events that have transpired through today. I will be presenting a timeline of events and a description of these events, and a portion of my presentation includes body-worn camera videos of several of our personnel's prior interactions with Nicole Mallory. These videos are being used to counter specific claims and complaints publicly made against our personnel. All of these recordings will be available in their entirety after the press conference. The affected area is a rural ranch land in eastern El Paso County. It is comprised of parcels ranging anywhere from 40-acre plots to over 1,000 acres. The property belonging to Nicole and Courtney Mallory is a large parcel of over 1,000 acres. The other nearby parcels, including the Clark parcel, are closer to 40 acres. There is over 1.4 miles of land between the Mallory homestead and the Clark homestead. All the land between the two parcels is part of the Mallory family property. There is an easement dividing the Clark property and the Mallory property, which holds the only access to several ranch properties, including Clark's. The sole purpose of this easement is to provide property access to the adjacent landlocked properties. This is a photo of the easement in question. On April 7th, 2021, deputies responded to a menacing call for service at Nicole and Courtney Mallory's residence. The investigating deputy is Michelle Reed, who is assigned to the Rural Enforcement and Outreach Unit. REO, as it is called, is a 6-deputy and 1-sergeant unit specifically tasked with handling calls for service in eastern El Paso County. The unit is tasked with livestock and ranch-type animal complaints, general criminal activity, illicit marijuana cultivation, and homeless outreach. This is a highly trained, skilled, and well-regarded unit that has an excellent presence in eastern El Paso County. I'm going to show you the initial video taken by a process server who entered Nicole and Courtney Mallory's property to serve Courtney Mallory with a civil process. The second video is the body-worn camera video from Deputy Michelle Reed and her contact with Nicole Mallory. Please be aware that the following videos, as well as all the videos, contain profane language and might be difficult for sensitive viewers.
This is an attempt to serve Courtney Mallory. We are at in Yoder, Colorado. Here's the gate. There's a locked gate, and the property is over there.
Okay, so this was April the 7th of 2021. And this is the county processor that's serving this. It wasn't the neighbor, it was actually the processor. So the neighbors got a third party to go in to serve these papers. And according to Nicole Mallory, she said someone came to her house, was looking in the windows, and that's when she jumped out of the house and with no clothes on and had a rifle.
Hello? Hello? Hello, is someone in there?
Let me stop here, Samuel. No, you're incorrect. No, they were not trespassing. This was the county processor, and he is going there to serve papers. So when you're serving legal papers, you are going there with the authority of the county to serve those legal papers. So no, this wasn't a trespass. He was going there just to simply serve legal paperwork. This was not the neighbor. This wasn't a friend. This wasn't, someone from the street. This was actually a representative of the county. So yeah, make sure you watch the whole thing. Okay. All right.
Freedom Ranch is.
What the fuck are you doing?
Hey!
What the fuck are you doing?
Listen, I have some legal documents.
Get the fuck off my property.
Hey!
Get the fuck off.
I'm
right
leaving.
now.
I'm leaving.
Get the fuck
I'm
out
leaving.
Of
I'm
here.
leaving.
Get the fuck out of
I'm
here.
leaving.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm leaving.
Get the fuck out of here. You step back on
I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I swear to God. Relax. I'm leaving.
And she shot
leaving.
fires. Shot fired.
She's unarmed. We're speaking with her. Code 4, you can clear the code. Ma'am, how you doing? So I'm Deputy Reed with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. The reason that we're out here is because we had a call, there was a weapon involved, and we're trying to investigate to figure out what's going on.
Okay, so I was over here, and I didn't have any clothes on. I was watching George Floyd and doing some work on the computer. And the dog was barking, and I heard, because I have those little big ears, I heard the breaking, but I thought it was men.
Gotcha.
So when I look out the window, there's a white male there.
Okay.
And I was like afraid. I came outside, and I was like,
Recording. Mounted. Wi-Fi disconnected.
I didn't have clothes on. I put my pants on, but I didn't have a shirt on because I didn't know the person, and the gate is closed. It says no trespassing, but there was someone right outside of my window, so strange things happened. I didn't know if he was trying to rape me. I don't know. So I was like, give me some ID, and he just started running. So my dog started chasing after him, but he was just running and saying, I had some papers to leave here. I said, give me some ID. Why did you trespass on my property? What are you doing here?
So at the time that you were doing this, what did you have in your hands?
I did have a gun in my hand.
What type of weapon did you have?
It was a shotgun.
Okay.
And I was like, what are you doing? He ran. I asked for ID because everything is locked here. So why were you on the property? I didn't have no shirt. And I was outside without a shirt on, chasing him because I did not know why he was here, but he ran. I couldn't get his ID. So then when I went down there, I saw his car was sitting there, so I was trying to call the police, but I didn't have a signal. I couldn't get his tag number, but I don't know who he was at all. But he was here.
So did he say anything to you?
It happened so fast. I mean, I was in a state of shock slightly because obviously I have no clothes on and someone's looking through the window, and so I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Okay, so what window was he looking through?
Right there on the shed, there's a window right there.
Right, I see that one on this side, on the south
No,
side.
no, it wasn't.
Not that one. this one, all the way over here behind this other building. He was looking through the shed window.
Okay, wait, let me, so I see your van, and there's a fifth wheel, and then
Here,
a
if
big,
you look right here, there's like a white part on the top, you see?
yeah.
And in there's a little area there.
Oh, another shed, okay,
Yes.
I see what you're talking
And
about.
so he was looking through the window, so obviously, I mean, look at the gate, it says no trespassing. I mean, I'm trying to protect myself, my animals, my property. I did not know. He didn't provide ID. He just started running.
And then what happened when he started running?
He just was running. The dog was chasing after him, and he was running. That was it. And then he got to his car, but obviously I didn't have a shirt on, so I'm walking with the dog. And
That's nothing.
but his car was sitting down here,
Okay.
and I don't know if the call went through when I called 911. But
Gotcha.
it was like a blue.
So at what,
mini SUV.
so at what point did you discharge the weapon?
It did not. That's why I'm kind of confused.
So she's
I
saying
had
she
it,
did
and I
not
was
shoot.
pointing it like, hey, give me some ID because I don't know who you are. But that was kind of, and I asked for ID. He didn't provide it. He just started running. My dog was there, but he didn't bite him or anything.
Okay, ma'am, what's your first name?
Nicole.
N-I-C-O-L-E.
C-O-L-E.
Your middle name?
Mallory.
M-A-L-L-E-R-Y.
E-R-Y. Yes.
Last name?
No, last name Mallory. Middle name is Lachey. L-A-S-H-A-Y.
L-A-S-H-A-Y. And
Yes.
what's your date of birth? And your ID is out of what state?
Texas.
And this is your property here?
Yes.
And who else is on the property?
No one is here now. It's just me and my animals.
So you and the dog, and what do you have, horses or what?
I have cows, chickens,
Oh, okay.
turkeys. Not turkeys. Chickens, laying hens that are outside. My goats,
Okay.
sheep, my pigs.
Gotcha.
And then I have 2 other dogs. And then my
You said 2 other dogs?
yes.
Okay.
And then my puppies, Great Pyrenees.
Okay.
Puppies.
What's a good phone number for you?
And they're intentionally blocking that out for obvious reasons, that information.
Did
There
the
you go.
person that called, was that the person who trespassed?
So, yeah, so at this point, he's saying that he was a process server or something to that effect, and he had legal documents to
For who?
serve. I don't know. He didn't
Okay.
tell me who to serve,
But
but
he breached the peace, so I do want to file a complaint now that you're here. He trespassed, and I feel like he was trying to rape me at this point. He didn't provide ID if he was a process
so
server.
let me ask you this. How close in proximity were you to him?
So
Just like if you just estimating yards or feet or something, like were you guys, like was it the space between this fence here or larger?
So I saw his face through the shed. Obviously, I'm startled. I think I'm seeing a ghost. So I didn't have any clothes on.
Gotcha.
So I put my pants on, and then I came outside. He was just walking around, and so he was like over there. But I guess when he saw me, he started coming toward me, and I said, "You need to show me some ID right now. Like, what the fuck are you doing on my property? Like,
Okay.
what the fuck are you?" That's what I said.
Right.
And he was like, I just got some papers, I think he said, or something. And I was like, I don't know who the fuck you are. You trespass on my property. Give me some ID right now.
Okay.
And he just took off running. So I would say probably about like right there, the dog was coming and he just started running. He never provided ID. There was no ID. But I want to file a complaint for trespass and attempted rape and breaking and entering. I have private property. All of this is locked. When he came out, so he jumped the gate to get in.
Okay.
That's trespassing.
Well, exactly. But what we need to figure out, we already know that he didn't have any ill intent, like there was no assault necessarily planned. He said he came to serve legal documents. Now we can't move past the fact that he did go through your gate. Okay? We're not denying any of that. What I'm trying to figure out is at what point did the weapon get discharged, because he's saying that there was a discharge of the weapon in the air.
That did not happen.
Okay.
But
And you have the weapon here?
yes. It is
Okay.
here. But-
So my supervisor is en route to our location. We can try to figure all that out once he gets here, if you're willing to cooperate with us.
I mean, I want to file a complaint. It feels like I'm being
Absolutely. Well, that's,
targeted here,
listen, man,
and-
we're here right now, and we drove here as fast as we could because, you know, we get some
So just out of curiosity, when he called, did he say I broke into someone's property? I'm just trying to understand how that conversation went, like what he called for.
No, that was not the conversation. It transpired like I explained it to you, that he came to serve paperwork.
So all the way up there.
Here's the thing.
Okay. I'm
You
just saying,
have,
there's so much stuff
listen, here's the
going
thing.
on, And
Right.
I don't play when it comes to my safety and my security. I had no clothes on. He was looking through the window.
Right.
So to me, that's an attempted assault, attempted rape. You're looking through my window. You're keeping time or whatever.
Okay.
You had no ID. So at this point, he never provided me any ID to verify whoever he was. He just walked around my property like he lived here.
No, and listen, I get it, and I'm just trying to gather the facts, okay? Because obviously I wasn't here when everything transpired, so I want to get.
On April 21st, 2021, during the investigation of that menacing by Deputy Reed, a search warrant and arrest warrant were obtained for Nicole Mallory and her property. A risk assessment was made regarding the execution of the search warrant, and it was determined the property was to be secured by the SWAT team prior to the execution of the search warrant. This risk assessment includes a review of the property, the criminal activity on the property, the nature of the involved offense, the involvement of weapons, and a complete criminal history review of the suspect. In this case, it was Nicole Mallory. Nicole Mallory was arrested for the menacing of the process server. She was also arrested while SWAT was on scene for an assault on a peace officer stemming from her actions during contact with deputies on scene at the execution of the search warrant.
Now, let me just stop here in case someone starts to chime in and say, man, they sent a SWAT team? See, they're going overboard with this. See, they only did that because they're black and all. No, back up. Pump those brakes here. The fact that now we have seen on record that there's weapons on the property and she actually shot at somebody, that's part of their assessment. When they have to go back to serve an arrest warrant, you ain't just going and sending one sheriff. No, you're going to have to come, with a team to make sure that it just goes down the way it needs to go down, and that's it. So that's not extra. That's not way out of the ordinary. Once you bring weapons in the picture and you actually have a record, a public record of shooting at somebody who apparently was, now you got a whole nother situation that you basically brought into this situation here. All right. So I just want to clear that up in case someone tries to, say, well, that was too much. No, when you start shooting at folks, I mean, that's what's going to happen. You understand what I'm saying? So let's go.
Shotgun used in the menacing case was recovered by investigators. Ms. Mallory is on probation for the menacing incident with the process server and is on a deferred sentence for the assault of our deputy. The following video is of Nicole Mallory being detained with two other individuals during said execution of the search warrant. I will note that Nicole Mallory is under arrest at this point for the warrant issued by the 4th Judicial District.
This is too tight on me. I can barely feel my arm. Okay, but I need to see the search warrant.
Okay, you'll get a copy. You'll get a copy.
I
Go
wanna
ahead and step
see
on
it
up.
now.
But not right now. You're in custody.
I can't even move my arm here.
Ma'am, just use your feet.
My arm is too tight. It needs to be
You don't need
loosened.
your arm to take a step.
Okay, but it's cutting off my circulation.
Ma'am, step up there, please.
It's cutting off. This needs to be loosened.
Okay, well, I'll check on it. Can you please have a seat?
No, I need this unloosened
Why are you
because
being
it is cutting off.
uncooperative right now?
It's cutting off my circulation. I can't even move my arm here.
Okay.
This one, the other one.
All right, go ahead and turn around. Hey. Komrovsky, you got a key? No, not me. Hey, what am I? What's this about? You got a key?
Farming?
What's this about?
You got anything on you?
Huh?
No.
What's this about?
I need to see the search warrant
It's
now.
not, like I said,
No, I want to see it now.
seeing it.
I want to see it now. Jen, I need to call my lawyer now because I want to see a search warrant now.
We have a search warrant and arrest warrant.
Let me see it.
No, ma'am, not right now.
I can't believe this shit,
You got a
man.
key? Go ask one of those guys the key. Go ahead and have a seat, sir.
Do I have to?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna do a quick pat down of you, okay?
What's this about?
Man, I don't know.
Do you have anything on you that you're not supposed to have?
No.
Any firearms, anything like that?
No.
Okay.
Y'all mistaken or something?
Is this a pocket knife right here?
Yeah, it's a box cutter. You know, to open feed bags up with, cut hay bales open with. Just normal stuff a farmer has on him.
I got you.
My livestock's in the shed. That's a lock. I hope y'all ain't bust my front gate down, man, 'cause that's bullshit. Like what right do y'all think y'all had to come and tear people's shit up like that? Y'all had a drone, y'all flew a drone. I heard something flying in the air, like y'all saw everything y'all need to see, so why y'all tear my shit up? What was the whole point of that?
So we have a search warrant.
I saw y'all I saw y'all tear people's shit up and y'all ain't find nothing. Ain't like, what the fuck?
Well, we know what we're looking for right now.
What are you looking for?
Well, I'll let you know later. You'll see that in the search warrant.
Yes, sir. Give me help, thank you, sir.
Ain't nothing
Go
stolen
ask
here.
him for a handcuff key. I need one now.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm seeing some other folks up in here. What is that about? Some other people were arrested. What they had going on up there? I don't know if they're going to explain that in the press conference.
Y'all don't shoot or kill nothing around here. You know what I'm saying? Because everything is where the fuck it's supposed to be. Like, I'm not understanding that. Like, y'all
This is
told my
too
gate up,
tight.
man. Like, what?
I don't have any circulation on this.
2 fingers, and I got a body cam.
I don't
That's it,
have
go ahead.
any circulation here. Call
Like,
the
where's the sergeant?
person on
Where's
duty
the person that's in charge? You know what I'm saying? Who's in
now
charge?
because I can't even feel my arm over here. I can't feel nothing.
I'm just going to pause it briefly here, just trying to keep track of the comments here. Someone asked, let's see, you're not allowed to discharge a firearm on your own private property. She lives on 1,000 acres. She can't kill a predator on her own property if it's attacking. No. See, that's you got into the middle. You need to go back to the beginning, and watch this broadcast from the beginning. No, you're not allowed to shoot at somebody if they're leaving your property. You cannot do that. That's against the law. If someone has showed up in this particular case, it was the county process server that was coming there to serve them legal paperwork. He knocked on the door of the house and there was no answer. Then he went to the trailer, knocked there and stayed there for a while. Then there was no answer. Then he goes back to the house, knocks again. He's standing at the door and he had his back turned, and all of a sudden it was just like a loud boom. That it was, I guess she swung the door open, had a rifle in her hand. You couldn't hear, I mean, you didn't see any of this, but basically it freaked the guy out because she had a rifle in her hand pointing at her and start cursing, and she was proceeded to start cussing at him and saying, "Get the blank out of here, get the blank out of here." And he was like, "I was here just to serve paperwork, legal paperwork." And she kept saying, "Get the blank out of here, get the blank out of here." And I would probably say not even maybe about 50 yards out, you hear one round going off. She shot. And you cannot do that. You know, when you do that kind of stuff, you cannot do that, because that's not, that person is actually leaving. If they were attacking you, that's something completely different. There was no attack. There was no sign of that at all whatsoever. All right. All right. So I just wanted to bring you up to date, but I would encourage you, if you're just getting on, go back to the beginning of this broadcast, so that when you do leave a comment, you're leaving it with that additional information. Okay. All right.
Oh my God, this is fucking cruel. I told you from the beginning the shit was too tight. I fucking can't feel my shoulder. You better give me some fucking medical attention now. I swear to fucking God on everything I fucking love. Give me some fucking medical attention. Give me some fucking medical attention. No! My fucking arm! My fucking arm! I can't fucking feel it! It fucking hurts! My arm! Get the fuck off of me! You fucking feel it!
Hey, don't fight me! Don't fight me!
Get off of me! You better get the fuck off my neck! You better get the fuck off of my neck! Get the fuck off my neck! I can't breathe! I can't breathe!
What do you mean you can't breathe? Stop!
Stop!
Stop! Stop! Hey. God.
Stop. You broke my arm! Oh my God! You broke my arm! You broke my arm! I can't feel it! Give me medical attention! Right now! Right now! Give me medical attention right now! My fucking arm! My arm! My arm!
Do we
My
want to
arm!
ask for medical?
My arm! Ouch!
Yeah, it's
Ouch! Ow!
Yeah.
Ow! My fucking arm! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Someone said at least they could have do is uncuff her. Not if you're arrested. No, you cannot.
You fucking choked me! Oh my God!
Been complaining of
My
shoulder pain and
fucking
shoulder
arm!
Look at your shoulder.
Yes!
Okay, then you gotta stop yelling.
Oh my God! They tried to kill me!
Nobody's trying to kill you.
Yes, he did!
Where's your shoulder? What
Where's
shoulder?
this one?
Alright.
He fucking placed it on purpose!
Alright, okay.
Ow!
Hold on.
It hurts so bad! Ow! Ow!
Alright.
Oh my God!
You guys can.
Oh my
Are you
God!
gonna let them check your shoulder?
Yes!
Alright.
I need medical
Okay.
attention!
And
Oh
one of them
my
can come
God.
in here and see if they can check
Oh.
your shoulder, alright?
Oh my God! Oh my God! He fucking tried to choke me and kill me! You fucking pig!
One of the complaints made by Nicole Mallory is that she was injured while being detained and denied any medical care. As you can clearly see, her restraints were checked for proper fit, tightness, and double locked at least once during her detention. In addition, Nicole Mallory was afforded the opportunity to be seen by paramedics from the Colorado Springs Fire Department Tactical Emergency Medical Unit while still at the property. She was also taken to the hospital for a medical clearance prior to being booked into jail. The following video is of Nicole Mallory being transferred to an ambulance so she can be transported to the hospital for that medical clearance.
pull her out so she can walk back here. You guys can park here, we'll walk her.
Out in the ambulance if you can step down. If you can step down. Can you step down? Okay, ma'am. We need you to step down. Why did you put me in here? The fucking arm is broken. You refused medical and you stepped up into the vehicle on your own. We're asking you now to step down. If you can go ahead and step down. We're gonna get you checked out by medical.
Hey, Nakia, hope I'm saying your name right. Honey, you're going to need to go back to the beginning of this video, because you're missing a great deal of information here. And again, if you're just coming in, my advice to you is to go back to all the way to the beginning. That way you can watch all of the content yourselves. Again, on this platform, we're about the truth. We're not taking sides. It's about the truth. Now, if that's a problem for you and that's something that you can't handle, then I would advise you to keep it moving, okay? But other than that, we're just watching it in real time, the video that was made available publicly so that we can all watch and we can all come to our own conclusions. So that's what this is about. We're just watching what was released. And so far, everything that they have shown and made public, it totally contradicts everything that these individuals along with the ARC Republic was putting out to the public. They were leaving a lot of great information out so that we as the public can make we can get a more holistic view of exactly what's going on. Again, we do not deny that racism exists. It does exist. Everywhere you go, there's racism. But you also, with that being said, you have some bad actors in the mix that look like us, that sound like us, and do things like this that ultimately make it worse for all of us as well, in some degree or another. So we're going to sit here so for us, we're going to look at the whole thing. So that's my advice for you, is to go back to the beginning of this broadcast so that you can watch the whole thing and you can get all the information. All right. Not mad at you. Don't think that at all. Okay. I'm just want to make sure that we're clear here. All right. So what you're saying right now, for those who just jumped in right now, you saw she was in a van, and I guess they had her come over to this smaller vehicle where, according to this officer that you see in the picture on the right, it's a black woman. She just mentioned that you put yourself in this vehicle, and what she did was and so now they're trying to offer her medical attention. And the officer said, made it clear, we're trying to offer you medical attention, but you're refusing. All right. So that's what they said. OK, so, again, this goes completely against what the reporting that ARC Republic was putting out here. All right. Let's go.
Can you slap this other leg around? Okay. If you can go ahead and step down, there's a step.
Touch her jacket.
Okay. All right. We're right here in case you need to step down. We'll help brace your steps. We'll help you brace your steps to get to the cot.
That fucking pig! You fucking broke my arm! The fucking pig!
I know you did a lot of work with those cuffs. I know you guys did a lot of work with those. Yeah, it's just going to be so much better.
Absolutely, Becky.
I just don't have a.
I got it.
I know, ma'am. I'm going to get you warm, okay?
So I know we're going to have you and one of the seniors follow her to
Wherever they're going?
yeah, and then after that, book her.
Gotcha.
gotcha.
I'll take a copy of your warrant, Scott, and I'll do the search.
Oh, okay. It's the paperwork is right on my desk.
We're gonna turn you, okay, and get you comfortable. I appreciate it. Sorry.
She's still cuffed on the left arm.
You're good. I appreciate
She's
it.
saying that it's this arm.
I know. I'm just saying she still has cuff on the
Oh,
arm.
gotcha.
I got this.
Can we turn you? Yeah, I know.
I don't know. She has something on. Oh, she has a belt. Back brace or something.
During her arrest, Nicole Mallory was confrontational, profane, and non-compliant. She assaulted a deputy and used racially derogatory statements against the arresting deputy, Michelle Reed, who is an African-American female and assigned to the Rural Enforcement and Outreach Unit. She made numerous accusations of bias and was confrontational with caregivers at the hospital. We cannot show you several excerpts from Nicole Mallory at the hospital in order to protect her HIPAA privacy rights. After she refused medical care, she was transported to the jail where she was booked in. I will now show you the recording of Deputy Reed interacting with Nicole Mallory during the booking process at the jail.
Okay, so this was at the jail. This wasn't at the hospital. We had showed this earlier in the broadcast. I had mentioned this was in the jail, but no, in the hospital. This is actually in the jail.
Girl, let's not hold the chain. Don't hold the chain. Please, thank you. Oh, absolutely, sorry. There you go, my dear. Here you go. Thank
Okay. No, but you can't, so
If you're not able to take it off, they'll cut it off.
and I would.
Why do you have to be so hyper aggressive with me, black lady? I don't understand it. Let me just hear you real quick. Christ. You did enough to me. God, still Negro at his finest.
Wow, that came off quite easily.
Oh, you always have something to say, Miss Field Negro. Over there and worship your masters.
Sorry, not trying to hurt you, almost got it off.
Now, keep in mind, she's not berating a white police officer. She's going after the black officer who's not even around. She's standing in the back.
Can't stay on them. Okay. Move forward.
Is there something else? In the back?
It's nothing in my hair at all. Don't touch me. Please don't let her touch me. She's already punched me. Do not touch me. Hey.
I'm just gonna look,
Okay, that's fine.
So she's saying, hold on, because I want to make sure we're getting all of this. So she's telling them, the white officers, don't let the black officer touch me because she already done hurt me. You saw the video yourself. That black officer, according to the video, didn't do it, was trying to calm her down, and if anything. But as soon as these white officers got around, now all of a sudden she wants to start berating the black officer. Now, I told you where I stand when it comes to police officers, but what I don't like is this bull crap right here, what I'm saying right now. I definitely don't like that. I definitely don't like that at all.
On April 27th, 2021, disputes over the easements begin with Nicole Mallory calling in a complaint that a neighbor is grazing animals on her land. The neighbor was Teresa Clark. The complaint was Teresa Clark was grazing animals in the easement. This begins the repeated disputes over property lines, access, and boundaries. On May 11th, 2021, Nicole and Courtney Mallory called in to report an unidentified male trespassing on their property. Deputies were able to locate the male, who was suffering from a medical episode to include exhaustion, disorientation, and trouble maintaining his balance. There were significant concerns for his welfare, and he was transported to the hospital via AMR. On May 14th, May 14th, 2021, Courtney Mallory called EPSO dispatch because he was concerned for his safety after the murder of his ranch hand. He requested EPSO patrol check the area to ensure his safety. There was an active investigation into the murder of Donasanio Amaya, and there is a person of interest in this case. Nicole and Courtney Mallory were interviewed in this investigation because the victim did work for them. Several social media sites contain accusations that EPSO Sergeant Ray Gerhart of murdering Donaciano at the Mallory property. At no time during their interview did Nicole or Courtney Mallory express their concern that Sergeant Gerhart murdered the ranch hand. Sergeant Gerhart is in no way a suspect in this investigation. The accusation of his involvement did not arise until after he authored the arrest warrants for Nicole and Courtney Mallory. On August 11th, 2021, Nicole Mallory confronted a father and son on South Loppe Road regarding their alleged trespassing on the Mallory property. The victim was recording at the time of the interaction, and it was determined that the victim was in the public access portion of the roadway. Nicole Mallory allegedly brandished a rifle during the heated exchange. Nicole Mallory was served and released for harassment and child abuse at the office of the sheriff. This case is currently in adjudication. Between August 2021 and September 2022, EPSO dispatch received numerous calls from the Mallory family, Teresa Clark, and many other residents in the area. Deputies responded both in person and by phone to these calls for service. Numerous cases were taken to include restraining order violations, criminal mischief, and trespass. Teresa Clark was the reporting party on approximately 46 calls for service. Nicole Mallory was the reporting party on approximately 47 calls for service. Courtney Mallory was the reporting party on approximately 11 calls for service. An additional 9 calls were made by other residents or involved parties in the area. There are also an additional 13 field interview records associated with the involved parties. In late August to early September of 2022, the Miami Yoder School District had to relocate a bus stop at the corner of Truckton Road and South Loppe Road to 1/4 mile east on Truckton Road. This was because Nicole Mallory would routinely sit in her vehicle at the bus stop, preventing a neighbor with whom Nicole Mallory had a protection order against from picking up their children at the stop. Nicole Mallory does not have any children attending Miami Yoder. On September 1st, 2022, deputies took a case for restraining order violation with Nicole Mallory as the victim. Nicole Mallory alleged that Teresa Clark violated a protection order by entering the disputed easement and photographing the surveillance cameras on the Mallory property that were pointed at the Clark household. Teresa Clark was arrested on a warrant issued by EPSO deputies. This case is also in adjudication. On September 13th, 2022, a deputy called Courtney Mallory by phone regarding an alleged restraining order violation where Mr. Mallory was the reporting party. Mr. Mallory also complained that his dog was poisoned. The deputy asked for additional information as well as requested Courtney Mallory take the dog to the veterinarian. Unsatisfied with the conversation, Nicole Mallory contacted a supervisor. During that conversation, the sergeant and Nicole Mallory concluded that Nicole Mallory will call back at a later date that evening with additional information, and with that information, a case would be generated for the poisoning of the dog. We have no record of Nicole Mallory calling back with the requested information. On September 20th, 2022, Sergeant Gerhardt began an investigation into stalking allegations against Nicole and Courtney Mallory after repeated complaints from Teresa Clark. The investigation revealed that Nicole and Courtney Mallory had active surveillance on the Teresa Clark residence. They would routinely arrive in the area within moments to minutes of Teresa Clark going outside of her house. And Nicole and Mallory would taunt Teresa Clark from the property line.
That's
Teresa
stalking.
Clark maintained a detailed stalking log, a document provided to her by the website stalkingawareness.org. She also recorded many of these interactions. On November 22nd, 2022, Sergeant Gerhardt's investigation was reviewed by me and the district attorney. An arrest warrant was presented for review and approval to Judge Ankeny with the 4th Judicial District. An arrest warrant was issued for Nicole Mallory, as well as a search warrant for the seizure of 3 surveillance cameras and associated equipment located at the Mallory property. These cameras and motion detectors were more than 1.3 miles from the Mallory homestead, but less than 100 yards from the Clark home. Additional review led the district attorney's office to conclude Courtney Mallory was also implicated in this case. On December 14th, 2022, an arrest warrant was issued for Courtney Mallory. Nicole Mallory turned herself in to the Elbert County Sheriff's Office on December 19th, 2022. Courtney Mallory was arrested by Colorado State Patrol on February 26, 2022, during a traffic stop, and he was booked into the El Paso County Jail. After the arrest of Courtney Mallory, there continues to be numerous additional calls for service, as well as active investigations to include animal cruelty, intimidation of a victim, harassment, and menacing, all in this area. The cases are all active investigations, and I will not be able to comment on them further. I will now open it up to the media for a few questions for Sheriff Roybal and me.
Okay, so we'll just stop it there. I actually played this part earlier in the broadcast, so you can catch it at that time if you want. Again, this is coming from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office press conference. Just if you're on, if you just want to go right to their page and watch it there, you can. It's El Paso County, CO, and you can go there and you can watch the video there yourself in its entirety. We played the whole thing here for the most part. Of course, there's a whole lot of things here. There's a few things here I wanted to touch on real quick. Someone mentioned, they said black people in 2023 still can't live anywhere. Be safe and research before purchasing. Not in this case. No, they were it wasn't the community that was screwed up. It was them. It was these individuals here. And like I said, again, if you go back to the beginning of this broadcast, you'll see they went through point by point and showed exactly what was going on in this situation. And what you and I were getting on social media was only a slice of a much, much bigger story. I said in the beginning, when we started covering this, I said, this sounds like it has less to do, if anything at all, with race, and it simply sounds more like there's a property dispute that just kind of went south. Anytime at all that you're dealing with a situation where you got an easement between properties, unfortunately, in many cases, you're going to have some issues. If any advice I would give to any black person out there, or anybody for that matter, I don't care if you're black or not, if you're going to buy some property and there's an easement involved, you need to make sure you go and you meet with whatever parties are associated with that easement. Make sure you have a sit down face to face with them, and make sure you got all the 411 on everything, so that there's no misunderstanding, there's no confusion, there's nothing like that. You don't just drop in that situation and then that's it. And so what this sounds like is that it started off with an easement issue, and then it just erupted into something where apparently the Mallorys brought in a race card. And what they did was they shopped around. They skipped over the local media. They shopped around for a media outlet in Newark, New Jersey, by the name of Ark Republic. They went to Ark Republic and said, here, we're going to tell you everything that's going on. They went through all of this stuff and was saying how their animals were being poisoned and how they were being attacked and how they were being profiled and all this other stuff. They didn't go to Colorado media. They went all the way to Newark, New Jersey. And I actually went to the site myself, and I looked at the people who were on the staff there, and I already knew, I said, what they were dealing with, what we're dealing with here. And this is something, family, that people do all the time, is that they shop it around. They shop certain stories around to get you to get emotionally in charge, emotionally invested. And next thing you know, you're pushing something that you don't even know anything about. You didn't realize it. They did the same thing with Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, it was the same situation. They get black folks all up in our emotions, and we're not asking any questions. All we see is white officers, black people, and that's all we need to know. You know, someone said, what is an easement? That's okay. Easement, basically, think of this. If you buy a property, right? Let's say you got a wide open field. And in that wide open field, there's a road that splits that splits that property, right? And well, back up. Let's say you got a big field here and you got a big field here, right? This is your property. This is the neighbor's property. And in the middle of that, in order for you to access your home, you got to take that road to get to your home. Well, the neighbor is the same thing. In order for them to get to their house, they got to go on that same road. So nobody really technically owns the road. It's a shared space or an easement. And that's just and there's other examples of easements that you can give, but that's like the easiest one. So basically, when you're dealing with a situation like that, there has to be agreements. Like maybe if you're in a state like Colorado, when it snows, maybe you can, you got to make sure, hey, listen, who's going to do the, cleaning the road? If the road is in disrepair, who's going to take that responsibility? Is that going to be a shared responsibility? Is that going to be on one person? So there's a lot of little things that if you don't get that cleared up in the beginning, it can erupt into some kind of mess, depending on who you're dealing with. Okay. So yeah, so that's just in a nutshell, kind of what an easement is. When you're buying property, that's why I said just make sure. There's nothing wrong with buying property that has an easement attached to it. You just want to make sure you actually speak with the people involved so that it's cleared up and there's no mess. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, that's basically what that is. So anyway, utility easements is also, and I'm glad you mentioned it, because another thing that was not addressed in this, I actually took the time and I looked at some of the affidavits. Another case where the police were dispatched out there, I forgot what they were dispatched out there for. The cop happened to look at the power line, the power pole up there, and he noticed a wire going from, it wasn't like the standard wire you use, like if you're trying to power a home or something like that. He could tell, wait a minute, are y'all still in power? And so he noticed that. He immediately called the local power company to have them take a look at it. And sure enough, the Mallorys were in fact stealing power from the grid, and they were using it on their property. That's all in the affidavits. Don't take my word for it. Take the time and read this stuff for yourself. Again, Ark Republic didn't mention any of that at all. Neither did a lot of these people on social media that is talking about it. So they were doing that as well. They were taking power off of the grid. You can't do that. It's very, not to mention how dangerous that really is, but you cannot do that at all without getting into some very serious trouble. That's why they got the charge about, what was it, meter tampering. All right. So yeah, so that's the that was another thing. And so what we just saw in that in their press conference, again, you saw how it, from what it looks like, it looks as if Nicole Mallory is really the one that's really amping a lot of things up. The husband, I'm gonna be honest, I'm looking at him and it just seemed like some things that just ain't there. I'm just saying, I'm just on initial observation. She, on the other hand, is extremely, as you saw, animated, and to the point where, like I said, I've lost any little respect that I had was going in that exchange where here the police officers, you had white police officers, females that were actually like trying, removing the jewelry when you're arrested and you're taken in booking. They got to remove your jewelry. If you got a watch or whatever, you got a headdress on or all that stuff, they got to take all that stuff off, right? So they're doing their job. They're doing what they're supposed to do. The black officer that came in, she immediately started going off on the black officer and saying, you done did enough. You working for massa, you doing all this stuff, and started berating the officer, the black officer. Later on, then the black officer tried to approach her again as a way of trying to help. And she was like basically saying, don't let her touch me. I don't want her touching me. You did enough. You understand what I'm saying? So see, that kind of stuff, I don't have any respect for you at that point. You know, whatever little I had, it's gone. It's completely gone at that point when you see that. So it looks like there's a lot of stuff. Someone had mentioned that she may in fact have some PTSD, and because she was former military. So because when you see someone go off like that, there's some other things going on. There's definitely some other stuff that's going on there. And I don't know what. I don't want to speculate too much, but clearly there was something you saw for yourself with the video that these officers weren't doing anything to her. They arrested her, and it's a standard handcuff. Someone asked, well, can an officer, do you have the option of being handcuffed in front or back? I don't think they give you an option, honey, when you get arrested. When you get arrested, you're arrested. Okay, so sometimes, yes, officers can put those handcuffs on you a little bit too tight. You can request for them to loosen it. In this case, she did, and they did. They had to find the key. Once they found the key, they did loosen it. But even by that point, she had already lost it completely and was going off, and it was just too much, And then she put on the whole theatrics and everything. Now, the questions I have now is, and then the other thing I mentioned this earlier, according to Ark Republic, it was reported that one of their dogs was poisoned. The officer that was dispatched by them, they called the officer to come in to investigate that. The officer said, okay, they asked all their questions, and he said, please follow up with me, so that I can have all the rest of the information and I can get this forward. So if there's any charges that need to be filed, we can do this, because right now all we have is a complaint, you making an allegation. So the officer was waiting on the Mallorys to take their dog to the vet to verify that the dog was in fact poisoned. That never happened, according to the police. There was no report. They never picked up the phone to call the police to let them know that, that the dog was or was not poisoned. All right. Let me see here. I'm just looking through some of the comments here, and we're going to go over some things here. And so by accident, on purpose, says just the fact that she was in the Marines, what kind of mind stuff because she had gone through. I mean, right? I mean, exactly. And see, and then you heard in the press conference as well that the El Paso police, they put it out there. They said, hey, listen, we want to have an open meeting where we're inviting the Mallorys, we're inviting the Clarks, who are the neighbors next door. We're inviting other members of the community to come in, along with the NAACP, along with the Black Latino Association or whatever. We want all of y'all to come in. We can pick a neutral place so we can go through all of this information together, and you can see on your own basically all the information that we have according to this situation. He said to this date, those organizations refuse to come, in part because Nicole Mallory, again, her name keeps coming up, refused to sit in that type of meeting. Instead, what she was requesting is to have a private meeting with the sheriff, and she said, in her words, a third party. Who is that third party? We don't know. That sounds like someone trying to get some type of a payout, or you're trying to do something. That's what it sounds like when you move like that. Typically, that sounds like there's something else that you're trying to do, because you got all of these people out here that want to be a part of the solution. They want to hear the whole story, but you shutting it down yourself. And on the 17th, which is a few days from now, you're pumping everybody to go to Denver, which is about an hour north away from Colorado Springs, to take part of a protest that has nothing directly to do with what you're talking about here. Now, what she's trying to push is something called the Karen Act. Okay, that's what they're trying to push. It's something called the Karen Act. Now, the Karen Act, basically, as the name implies, is basically a piece of legislation that points towards, brings attention to people who weaponize the 911 service, first responders, in the name of, racism, harassment, whatever. That's what the Karen Act is about. Okay, so they're saying, hey, y'all, we're going to meet up in Denver on the 17th so we can protest to have this piece of legislation passed. Okay, now, something else that I want y'all to be, because some of y'all ain't quite up to speed on how DC politics works, okay? Let me help you out a little bit, because this happens all around. A lot of times when there is a piece of legislation that is trying to be pushed, what happens sometimes is that our government, and I'm not speculating, I'm telling you what I know, a lot of times they will create scenarios, real life scenarios in the area so that they can drum up enough support. You may look at this like, see, and this is why we need to, secure our borders, and it just so happened like all of a sudden, there's a young Hispanic man that raped somebody or something, that allegedly raped somebody. You got to understand, family, you're dealing with a government that they own the whole board. Okay, they do all kinds of stuff. Okay, and we don't have all the facts as part of as this is concerned. Are they part of some government thing? I don't know. I can't conclude and say that's the case, but I do find it's extremely hard to believe that you saw all that screaming and hollering and all that shit doing. Instead of organizing a protest in downtown Colorado Springs, where you're part of that county, you're in El Paso County, instead of organizing a protest there, you're trying to drum all of these people up to go an hour up to Denver to protest about something else. That says PSYOP all day to me. That says PSYOP all day and all night. And I told y'all, I said, you got these military bases out here. I said, just keep your eyes on this, because this looks like a curveball to me. And they're trying to rally folks up. And this is why we keep telling people over and over again, get your hands on that Karen Act. Make sure you read it. You got to read that Karen Act, because a lot of times what they typically do, family, is that they'll put these different pieces of legislation together. And on the cover, it will say, oh, it's for black folks. It's to address this particular issue. But when you start looking at the details of it, you'll find that, okay, $3 million is going to Ukraine. $5 million is going to the border. $10 million is going to feed the homeless in Afghanistan. It'll start going to all of this other stuff, but it's not addressing the central issue that we got all hyped up about. You understand what I'm saying? But so a lot of times, what these politicians and what the governments, what they do is that they'll create scenarios to try to get you all drummed up, all to get you focused on a certain piece of legislation. And like I said, again, when you track this whole thing out, this looks like exactly what was going on. Someone mentioned, I just got a text that said they raised so far somewhere, it looks like about $100,000 because people on social media was pushing this whole situation hard. They were pushing this thing hard. And see, family, I get on this thing. I was telling Nicole the other day, I said, I'm tired. I'm really tired. I am really tired. I am because I hate watching people learn the hard way. I really do. I hate people. I hate watching our people learn the hard way. When you tell, nobody's sitting up here saying I know everything. I don't. But I want to ask questions so that I can find out the whole deal. Now, let me break this down here for a second. They said, if this is true, $100,000, let's just say, when they GoFundMe. Now, right now, you see economically where we are as a people right now. You see what's going on right now. You got folks, literally black folks in particular, that can't afford the places that they're living right now. If you look at different cities all throughout the country, you'll see all these tent cities. Who are the people you see living in these tents? Who are the people you see living in these tents? It's black folks. So we raised out of just simple emotion. We took the little resources that we had and threw it to this particular case without thinking, without asking questions, getting all mad, tweeting and retweeting and all this other stuff, not asking any questions. $100,000, we could have built something to house some homeless in one of these cities over here. Now we can't do that. Instead, what we're going to do, we're going to get mad because the government ain't doing enough. Because the government ain't doing enough. I've said this before, family, and I continue to say this over and over again, is that all you got to do is look at our own history right here in this country. Right after the Civil War, right after the Emancipation Proclamation, it was your ancestors, it was your people that left the southeastern part of the United States and started heading west and started building their own towns, start building their own communities. We were building our own houses. We were building our own businesses. We were building our own fire departments, our own police departments, and we didn't need any government assistance. Not at all. In fact, they weren't trying to give it to us anyway. They weren't trying to give us none of that. There was no government loans. There was no, special programs where we're going to give loans to black women who are trying to get into business for the first time. There was nothing at all. When we had to build we built our own schools. We didn't have to wait for a company to come in and build schools. We had to do that ourselves. We did that from start to finish. And it was only then we became a threat. We became a threat at that point because they realized, hold on for a second. We got to stop this immediately. You mean they're not asking for anything? Our people became such a threat. The United States did something that they had never done in American history. And that was to equip a plane with explosives. This was the first time in recorded history in the United States where the United States bombed its own people. Because they saw how much a threat it was when black people get together and we say, we don't need the government. We got everything we need. And now in 2023, here we are. We back at this mess. We're right back here. Just throwing our money. I'm going to go, what's your cash app? I'm going to get your cash app. Or what's this or that? And there's nothing wrong with giving to stuff. But all I'm saying, people, we got to be people who read, listen, and ask questions. If we can do those three things as a people, we'll be a lot further along than where we are right now. We won't read, we won't listen, and we won't ask questions. I was talking with someone on the chat the other day. In the comment section the other day. I'm trying to help them out. I'm saying, hey, listen, here's some information here. I'm only giving you a little bit. I'm not going to reteach everything I teach. I spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours teaching this and putting all this information together. I can only give you a little bit here in the comment section. If you want to hear the whole thing, here it is right here. Just go over there and listen to it. And instead of him doing that, he wants to keep going back and start doing. I said, you know what? I'm done. I ain't got no time. I don't have any time anymore. I don't. Because when you just outright refuse to just listen, nobody over here is saying we know everything because we don't. I don't think anybody does. But if you can't have a conversation where one person talks, the other person listens, and then you reverse that. If you can't do that, We ain't going nowhere. We're not going anywhere at all. As a people, we're not going anywhere at all. And it's just sad and it's unfortunate. In this particular case here, and what we're seeing, this is why you saw the NAACP got quiet. And then the other group, the Black and Latino group, they got quiet. They got real quiet. I was watching this. I would say, it's very odd. I said, all of a sudden, these people got drop dead quiet. Ain't nobody talking about this now. And I saw people like Roland Martin pick it up. I didn't watch his broadcast on it, so I don't know what he's saying on this. My hope is that platforms like that will follow this story all the way out and not just leave people on a high note of emotionalism. Instead, we need to go make sure we follow back up and go back to the people and say, okay, here's the rest of the information. And there may be some people that are watching right now and saying, well, brother, see, you getting all fired up based on what the cops are saying. You still ain't hear anything. At this point, I don't need to hear anything. I don't. I really don't. There's nothing at all. They had, even their social media was suspect. What they were, the little that we were putting out was suspect. Now, a lot of us, we were sitting here watching, we saw pictures of dead animals. Right? We saw pictures of dead animals, and they were going out here saying, they done killed our animals, y'all. They going out here, they killing our animals. All you saw was a picture of a dead animal. Now, my farming community out here, because we got some folks out here who have, who do farm, when you farm and you got cattle, you're going to have people who, you're going to have cattle sometime that are stillborn. I mean, that's just, I was never a farmer, but how about yours truly among the many jobs I used to have in the past? One of them, I did security at a farm. Can you believe that? I was a security guard at a farm, a dairy farm. This is in Southern California. And I remember one night I pulled, I'm at when I say post, my post was really in the car. I'm sitting in the car. There's this big old dead cow sitting right there. What their farmers would do is they would, sometimes when these cows would just keel over and die, they just pull it off the side of the road, and then I guess they have a service that comes and pick it up, and they do whatever they do with it. There was other times I would see the little calves sometimes that were stillborn. You get there, I'm there at night, and I see little dead calves sitting up there. It just happens. You understand what I'm saying? And so what these people did, took pictures of dead animals, and then they filled in all the blanks and saying that their animals were poisoned. But they didn't put any paperwork up at all. The one thing I can say, like I said again, the Clarks, that's the neighbors, and the police officers, these are out of the three parties that's involved in this case here, there's only two that kept paperwork, and that was the Clarks, the people next door, and it was the police. Only thing we got is a bunch of screaming, hollering, and crying on their social media, and that's all we need. So when it said they needed cameras around their property, they did have cameras. The problem is that they had cameras and they were pointing it right at their neighbor's house. And they had it was a type of camera that's like motion detector, where you're like, every time the neighbor pulls up, they may be just coming in for work or whatever. And all of a sudden the camera comes on, you just trying to record them and any little thing they do, you just trying to record it. You can get into some trouble just with that, because now that can be looked at as stalking. All they're doing is living their life over there. You got 1,000 acres. Why do I need to go to this one little corner on my property and start to raise a ruckus just off of that? Now you saw how big that property is. I mean, it's pretty wide. There's a whole lot more you could have been doing in your life than doing all this stuff that they're seeing right now. And this is the thing. So so they had cameras. Now the other thing too, Linda, is that they were also, I'm talking about the Mallorys, they were the ones out here on social media saying we need to raise money up so that we can have, because we need cameras. Well, apparently they already had cameras. So why are you raising up money for? Because you already had the cameras. You had cameras already, so why are you telling people you need to raise up money for cameras on something you already had? So there's going to be some people, family, and I know this is going to be hard for some people. It's hard for people, but I'm going to tell you right now, family, there are a lot of black saboteurs out here. They are. There are plenty of them. There are a lot of folks out here that look like you, that sound like you, can make some of the same points that you agree with, but behind the scenes, they are wicked. Chris W. just said they raised, I guess you just checked, $182,000. $182,000. Now, as an investor, just think about this for a moment. Would you, based on what you saw here, would you have invested in that? Now, all that money, I'm going to tell you how the rest of this works, because, see, people don't think about this. So now what's going to happen is that money is going to go to those groups, the NAACP, the Black and Latino organization or whatever, and they're going to absorb it for something that they didn't even show up for, quite honestly. So now it's going to be seen as a donation to their groups. Do you see how the shakedown works, family? You see how it works? You got emotionally invested. You threw your money there. And now the very groups that you complain about, they're getting your money. You see how that works? I'm just checking something here. Hold on for a second. Oh, yeah. It's, oh, yeah. Yeah, I already said that. Okay. So they're getting your money. And the way they have figured it out is to create these little situations like this to get you all worked up and get you all emotionally involved. And next thing you know, you done sent money, you done all this stuff. In the meantime, if you allow me to flip this thing over, I'm trying to get our people the heck up out of the Ohio area and really take what we're saying very seriously about this chemical spill that just took place there this last weekend. People think I'm just joking when I was saying, if I were you, I would be making some plans. When you start looking at the info that's coming out right now, they're talking about right now, you got more animals that are dying. There was one person that had some of y'all farmers, maybe you can, I've never heard of someone raising foxes, but I guess that's a thing. But he raises up foxes. He has a little fox farm kind of thing that he raised up. The one of the foxes, because it's amazing how this thing went down. They said when this exploded, because the government came in and they basically set it was already on fire, but they put an explosion in there and made it worse because they're saying, okay, we got to burn off this chemical, so that it doesn't go into the water. Well, too late for that. And so anyway, what happened was almost minutes after this is how serious I want y'all to please listen to what I'm saying here. Almost minutes after, let her know she's on a delay. Almost minutes after that explosion took place, people immediately start saying that they noticed that their chickens were dropping just like that. So whatever this thing was, when it pushed into the atmosphere, it pushed so quickly, these animals were able to immediately pick it up and animals just started dropping. Like this guy that had the foxes, for example, let me go back to him. The fox, he said the first thing he noticed, he was just moving funny. He was a whole lot of diarrhea. And then finally the fox he said, killed over and died. And then someone that had chickens, I think I showed that person that had chickens, all her chickens just died. They just bloop, just all of them dead. And she has video showing, hey, you could see just yesterday, this is footage from yesterday. All my chickens were doing fine. And when they did that explosion, all of them dead. She showed them. And I also have footage too. You can find all of this here. They are, what was it? I don't know if the county's paying for this, the company, who knows, but they're already sending these environmental teams out into these streams that are in the area, and they're just scooping up dead fish. Family, this thing just happened Friday. I mean, when I say this thing blew, the reverberation of this thing and all those chemicals that got dispersed in the atmosphere, I don't think you really understand. See, the reason why some folks ain't taking this seriously is because you don't see the government going on the screen and telling you, okay, this is a message from your United States government. Folks, fellow citizens, it has come to our attention. See, you looking for that. See, you got trained too much by mainstream media that you got to wait for that. Sometimes you can't wait for that. So anyway, so they're scooping up dead fish in these streams right now, because right now it's already in the water supply. It's in the water supply. And now they're killing off, so this thing is killing off fish. I did look at this. The image? Yes. I read the thing.
Oh, I thought you were going to show the image.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I could show. I see what point she's trying to make. Okay, let me hold on, let me go back here. Just something I'm gonna show real quick. My beautiful wife want me to show y'all something here. Hold on. Give me just a moment here. Okay, hold on. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, yeah. I think that is very important. Thank you, honey. So this is what they're putting up here. Black Colorado farmer terrorized, all in red. Deputy leading assault to steal black farmland. And so far, like someone said, $182,000. All right. So anyway, so yeah, that's important to look at. Thank you. What was I going to say? So yeah, so in that area, you're talking a span right now. They're saying at least 170 some odd counties that can be impacted by it, because you're dealing with water supply in that area. It's pretty much affected by it now. And again, family, I did a write-up yesterday on our community page. I said, what good investors always look for opportunities for future things, right? So in this particular case here, they know that these people have already figured out that in the span of 5, 10, 15 years, you're going to start seeing an uptick of people complaining about different health ailments. One of the big things, when you look at some of the chemicals, the side effects of these chemicals, they said it's cancer. So don't be surprised if you start seeing cancer units start popping up all over the place, or more hospitals, or then you're going to start seeing more attorneys all of a sudden. I've always wanted to go to the Ohio Valley. I've always thought that was a good place. They go in there because they getting set up, because they know that you are going to be complaining about what you complain about, your health. And it's all started from this stuff. See, you're dealing with leeches, you're dealing with vermin, you're dealing with the lowest of the low people. This is how they think. This is how the world operates. Do you understand what I'm saying? Everybody trying to get money. Everybody trying to get paid off of this. And like I said, isn't it the irony of it is they said that was going around. They were telling people, oh, we can't send the kids back. The children can't. For a whole year, you cannot come back to school. This thing is just wiping out everybody, right? Remember all of that? Now here we got in real time, in your face, you got animals dying. You got people in the community complaining about chest pains and coughing and eyes watering and nausea and all this stuff. And the next day they're telling people, oh, it's safe. You can go back. It'll go away. The thing you got to understand is this, and I want you to really understand this. When you're dealing with chemicals, when you're dealing with like a chemical spill, that kind of stuff, see, you're not dealing with something that overnight. See, get Hollywood, all those movies that you used to watch when they just, don't drink the water, and all of a sudden they just melt, and their head falls off or whatever. It doesn't work that way. You're talking something over a long period of time, you're going to start noticing some things in the environment and also with the people. Some of these chemicals, they were saying, they refer to them as forever chemicals, meaning that now that it's been introduced in the environment, what's going to happen is now you got the local animals. Let's say it's a chicken farmer, right? Whatever that chicken is picked up, the chicken may still be functional and live and going around, but now it's in that chicken. So they slaughter that chicken, or it gets into the vegetables. Maybe you're like, well, I don't eat chicken anyway. Okay, fine. It also gets into the vegetation. All right. So when it gets into the vegetation now, Now you're dealing with a whole situation as well. So you eat that, and now it goes into you. It impacts you. It goes in and goes out of you. It goes into the sewer, right? It goes into the sewer to the water company. What does the water company do? Oh, they process it. Oh, they filter all that stuff out. Oh, and then it's gone. No, it's not. It goes right back into the water supply, which goes right back into your pipe. So basically, your behind is sitting up here drinking Dookie water. That's how it works, family. And when you're introducing chemicals like this, you don't want to mess with anything like this. You do not want to mess with this at all. I would have been making plans like, okay, I don't know how we're going to do it, but we need to figure out something out right. You know, there's a video I came across. This is Aaron. Okay, you know what? Hold on. You know what? Because see, some folk, man, they need someone white to tell them. They need a white person to tell them, okay, that's fine. I feel you. All right, you don't want to hear what I got to say. All right, let me find someone white to tell you, okay? Because some folks, they just don't want to hear it. I'm telling you. All right, so what I have right now is, let me get Erin Brockovich. I hope I'm saying her name right. And let's take a listen to what she had to say on this situation, okay? You know, you don't want to hear what I got to say. Let me, you know, it's not that serious coming from me. That's fine. Okay, I'm not offended at all. But let me go ahead and bring her up on the screen here. Let me bring her up, and let's take a listen to what she is saying and her assessment. Now, you know, Erin Brockovich, you know, they did a whole movie about her where she dealt with this stuff, and she, you know, and talks about how these companies move and operate. Now, let's take a listen to what she had to say on this. All right, let me get, where's my browser? Okay, here it is. Let's take a listen. Let me turn it up here. Now, this is what she's saying. She's talking about this particular situation.
When the situation in the train derailment's been going on for over a week, anytime there's an environmental disaster, the community will come to me. They've already come to me from the community, and I have just been struggling because from a legal perspective, what is happening out there to even get somebody out there to find out what's going on, and then watching this with the reporter getting arrested. Now, I'm really thinking, what the hell's happening out there? I think the most important thing these community members can do, and they're reaching out to me, and they're afraid, and they're worried. They're making the observations of the fish kills. I need them to start protecting themselves. I don't think we're going to get a direct answer right now about the dangers or from the EPA or even the laws going to understand what's happening out there. I need this community to act for themselves. If you feel unsafe, then please get out of harm's way. If you feel unsafe, stay sheltered in place. If you're questioning that it's all clear and you think it isn't, listen to that voice. Document what's happening to your own health. Document or videotape the fish that are dying, or as you move about in your community. I think it will be critical. You will have to protect and defend yourself at this moment, because I don't think all the answers are there. They will be, but they're not. So for in the moment, please use your own instincts. Keep yourself safe. Ask questions. If you're uncertain, get to safety. And if you see something, say something and document it.
Have you been able to get a lawyer to get out there on the ground?
I haven't been able to get, at this point in time, any law firms that I've reached out to, it's a pass.
Why is that?
You know what? I don't know why. It could be a whole host of reasons. My guess would be because there's no affirmative answer yet as to, we know it's vinyl chloride, what the levels are. The EPA is saying everything is safe, so they may just be following the safe thing to do
do you
until
trust
we
that?
know. No, I never trust that. After 30 years of what I've been through and what this community's going through, they know. Come on, it's vinyl chloride. It's in the air. The fish are dying. Really? Does that give you comfort that maybe I should be in this area? Probably.
Well, and maybe you believe it from her then. All right. You won't believe from me. But seriously, I mean, there you go. So this is the kind of stuff the reason why I bring this up is this is real time. This is happening now. Okay. This isn't something in the near future or whatever. This is happening now. And we do have to be very aware of it. And like I said, again, we're not just talking about that town, East Palestine. No. It's not just there. You're talking, they're saying they're finding traces of this as far down as West Virginia. So this ain't just up there. And not only that, the other thing you got to keep in mind is you got the jet stream too, because when they were burning all that stuff up, guess what happens? It went into the atmosphere. So where does the jet stream go? It goes from west to east. So now you're dealing with a situation where it's blowing it in the atmosphere for all of us folks up here in the Northeast. You understand what I'm saying? Now, you know, for those of us in the Northeast, like, I don't think we're directly, it's not as severe as someone who lives closer to that spot, because rain, it will just come and go. But over a long period of time, yes, it will be an impact on the environment. But rain, what it contributes to is acid rain. All right. I actually saw someone posted some pictures of their car, you know, that not too long after that, you know, when that whole situation took place, and I think it was like a day or so later, it happened to be raining where they were driving, which was not too far from there. And the front of their car literally looked like someone blasted it with some salt, because the acid rain, you could see, you know, that this car was damaged, and there's no salt on the roads up there because it wasn't snowing. You want to say something, huh? She's going to show me something.
Do you want to show them this that you sent me about dioxin or no?
Yeah. Let me. Did I text that to you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can. It's something else I'm gonna pull up here.
Okay.
I'll
forward it to you right now.
No, I got it right here. Hold on. Is this right here? Right. Okay. All right. So let me bring this up here. All right. Let's take a look here. All right. So dioxins are forever chemicals, and a small amount concentrates in higher order animals. Like people, this chemical catastrophe is absolutely going to drop life expectancy in Ohio and Pennsylvania for generations. And animals carry it away, ingesting it when they're ingested. And then it goes on to say, let's see, it says dioxins and dioxin-like compounds are a group of chemical compounds that are persistent organic pollutants in the environment. They are mostly byproducts of burning or various industrial processes, or in case of dioxin like PCBs and PBBs, unwanted minor components of intentionally produced mixtures. Some of them are highly toxic, but the toxicity among them vary 30,000 fold. They are grouped together because their mechanism for action is the same. They activate the aryl hydrocarbon receptor, albeit with very different binding affinities, leading to higher differences in toxicity and other effects. And then they go on. So, family, we're living in a day right now. You cannot wait for the government to tell you, okay, now run. They will tell you, okay, now run, but they're going to be announcing that from their bunker. In other words, they're going to already be hit after they got themselves together. Then they're going to say, okay, you can run now, but where you going to run to? Because they got themselves already set together. We have to be a people that's proactive, and you cannot be, you know, I'm not here. Like I told you, I condemn with a strong condemnation when you hear people out here using these examples, telling you, you got to drop everything. This is a sign of the apocalypse. And this is why you got to run and you got to go to a foreign country somewhere, you know, because America's dying, it's dying, it's crashing and burning and all this other stuff. If you want to go to another country, go to another country. That's you. But make sure you've done your research about that country. Don't listen to these people out here telling you, you just got to run and flee. All of the world is controlled by this Babylonian system. It ain't just America. It's the entire world. It's the entire world. You think you go somewhere like Africa, for example, everything's all, you think they're going to be, everything's, can you feel a brand new day? When you come off and then they're like, here's your land, here's all the things you need, and here are your workers. And all. You think that's how it's going to be? No, you're going to have to deal with a whole nother set of situations there under governments that are tied to these same Freemasons. So it doesn't matter where you go, but you do, at the end of the day, you still have options. You have plenty of them. Don't listen to these people and act like you ain't got no options. There's plenty of options out here. But you have to now, starting now, you really got to take these things seriously. And, you know, when you're talking this amount of space out here that's being impacted by, in this particular case here, you talking something, man, it's going to be wow. And then after that, after we went live yesterday talking about that, there were 2 more train derailments. It was one in South Carolina, and then there was another one in Texas. Now, from what I'm getting, I don't think there was anything, any chemicals involved in that. But you do have to look at this thing from an economic standpoint. What's the economic impact that's going to have in that region? And to add more to that, there have been a whole lot of train derailments that have been happening just in the last couple of years. You understand what I'm saying? So these people it's what it is, family. This is the world that we're living in right now. They're trying to demolish, they're trying to bring down so that they can build something brand new. All right. So you do have to make sure that you're asking questions. And like I said, even though this is unfortunate with this whole Colorado train situation, as unfortunate that is, that's a Colorado train situation. I'm getting them all mixed up. This Colorado situation, even though it's, you know, that all of that's unfortunate, and no, I'm not even the last person like sitting down listening to someone screaming and hollering. I was ready to flip the thing off, but I said no. We're gonna power through this and we're gonna watch it, because it needs to be something of a lesson for us as a people to not allow ourselves to get emotionally entangled in stuff. Because as I'm just talking to you just now, you know, here you got $182,000 that was invested in this. That money could have gone towards people evacuating out of Ohio, and that way all of our people are straight, and ain't no issue at all. There's another story here, and I thought about this too, and I just shook my head. I didn't show this to you, Nicole. It's right here. Let me get this up here. Hold on. Check this out here. This is, get this off on the screen here. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. It said Maine town declares food sovereignty. Sedgwick, Maine has done what no other town in the United States has done. The town unanimously passed an ordinance giving its citizens the right to produce, process, sell, purchase, and consume local foods of their choosing. This includes raw milk, locally slaughtered meats, and just about anything else you can imagine. It is also decided bucking the state and federal laws. You'll be amazed at how many laws are in place that prevent people from simply doing something like this. Wow, but these people got together. They got together and they said, no, we're going to draw the line here.
That's awesome.
And we're going to do our own thing here. We're going to make sure that the food circle is all contained within our own community.
Wow.
Now, you got places like Atlanta. You got places like Philadelphia. You got places like Baltimore. You got places like all in the Carolinas. And you tell me now one person can get together and do something like this? Now one. Not one can get together and do this. Instead, we want to get off. Oh, did you see what's on social media? Oh, let's send our money up there. And you sending it across state lines or something else, when it said you took all of that energy in your own community, create a law like this where you make sure that the food supply in your town, in your community, amongst your people stays yours. But we can't do that. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that don't want to do it. We can do it, but there's a lot of people that choose not to do it.
That's awesome. What that town did, wow, that's awesome. Wow, look at that.
So, I mean, we can sit up here and have conversations about, man, see, you got to break this down. Look at the date. See, the date is 2-14-23. Look in your Bibles and look at the scripture for Genesis chapter 2. See, if you want to do that, you go ahead and do that. That's you. Go and do it. Enjoy yourself, okay? Go enjoy yourself. But for the rest of us, right now, at this moment, We're dealing with folks out here that are being poisoned. All right. And right now, they don't want to hear your Bible story. They want someone that's going to be able to give them sound wisdom, advice, and what do I need to do in this particular situation? I got elderly people in my house. I hear what you're saying, brother, but how can I don't know. I don't know how to do this. Okay, then we need to sit down and talk about this because we don't want to see you die. You understand what I'm saying? And so we have to have that kind of determination when it comes to our people in this time that we're in right now, family. I really feel, like I said again, you know how what I keep hearing is last call.
Wow.
Last call. I think we're in the last call stage right now for some folks. You understand what I'm saying? Because after a while, like I told y'all right now, I'm tired. I really am. And I know I keep saying that, but I mean that. I want y'all to understand that this ain't me just getting up here. You think this? I'm just getting up here because I get to go live, y'all, and I get to talk and I get to run my mouth. I ain't got time for that. Right now, I'm just like, you know what? I done told folks. Yeah. We done laid it out. Yeah. We done given stuff away. We done told them this and that or whatever. And at this juncture right now, if you want to listen, great. I'm grateful that you're listening and you're taking a little piece and you're doing something with it. So this ain't, but if you just and then you want to get, well, I don't like what you're saying about this. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, brother. But when it comes to that other stuff, you say, I don't agree. Listen, you may not agree with this or that or whatever, but I think we can all agree. Listen, we need to start there needs to be a greater determination to start calling out and uprooting this foolishness and this ignorance that we got amongst our own people, like this particular stuff that we just talked about in the bigger part of this broadcast here. I ain't investing no more time in that foolishness. No more. Ain't taking no more of my time. No more. Let them figure that out. Let them figure that all the way out. And now look at the damage. See, this is what I'm saying, Nicole. See, we lived out there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a nice area. Again, is there racism? Like we said, it's racism everywhere. It's everywhere. We get it.
Yeah.
But like I said, Colorado is one of those states is either all white in some areas, and then you got black in some areas. There are black people out there.
That's how it was 20 years ago. I don't know.
That's how it was 20 years ago. But see, here's my thing with this is that, but it's on a razor edge kind of situation. You know what I'm saying? So you get this, some craziness that like this happens. Now you open up a whole can because I was on social media and already I was seeing some of our people saying they're going to go out there with some guns, talking about they're going to patrol the property and all this other stuff. Well, if they're saying it, then guess who else is saying they're going to come out there with some bigger guns? The white folks. So now you done started this whole situation, a situation that's, okay, we had a very, a bad, our past wasn't as great as it should have been. Like, they used to have some KKK stuff going on in that county, but this is many, 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 many years ago. But since then, it's definitely gotten way better, right? But now a situation like this is taking a situation that is progressing and can potentially set things all the way back. So someone like in the house here that may say, hey, listen, hey, I was thinking about buying some land out in Colorado Springs area. Now you got to overcome all of this foolishness. And now you're making it harder for other people. Not because you didn't do anything. It's because this fool didn't say something.
You can mess around and have a whole statewide race war off of a false flag event. I mean, literally.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Literally.
I mean, literally. Someone could have gone.
That's too much.
You could have had some other people going out there and say, you know what, we're going to buy some land. Some of y'all may have said, yeah, I was thinking about. Now you done made it that much more difficult.
And the interesting thing is that we want to believe our people. Right?
I really do.
We want to believe our people, right? So when you first I don't want to say broke the story, but whatever the word is, right? When you first did the first live about this story, you were like, listen, you played different videos off of their Instagram, and you were like, listen, family, if you can support this couple, they sell meat, I think, check them out if you're in that area. Let's support them if we can. We're going to continue to watch it. You mentioned, be sure that you take a look at that Karen Act or whatever to make sure they're not trying to slip anything in there. We gotta look at, make sure we're hearing all the sides here. But from what we can see, at least from what they're saying, let's try to support them if we can. So the initial response is, we want to believe our people.
Absolutely.
I'm talking about we collectively, right?
Absolutely.
We want to believe our people. We want to help our people. We want to be there. We want to support. We want to, I know when I first heard the story, I was like, man, if we had some brothers down there in the area that could go and help them,
yes,
that's our initial response, right? Because we want to help our people, and we want to support, and we want to do all that. And then something like, and again, I know we're just now hearing these different press conferences and stuff, but here's the thing: without reading all of the affidavits, because I'm just going, y'all know I'm gonna be 100%. I'm just gonna keep it all the way real. Okay. Just basic discernment. When you looked at the woman, I know you already went past this situation. You already talked about this, Colorado. But when you look at how she was in those videos, you broke my arm.
Yeah.
And all of this, like, all of the extra, and she was lying all through. I asked him, I was waiting for him to show me ID. I wanted to show him ID, but he wouldn't. No, sis, you came out saying, get the blank off of my property.
And you bust the cap.
Swinging a gun. So my point is, and then when she was getting arrested, all of that screaming and all of that, y'all broke my arm. And all of that. All you got to do is when I see that and you're willing to, regardless, people say, was it PSA? Was it PTSD? Did she have a mental? Guess what? It don't matter.
It don't.
If you're willing to make it that large, okay, blow it out of proportion. What else in the story have you already blown out of proportion? What else have you? Again, you see what I'm saying? So I don't even need, y'all can read the affidavits if you want to. I'm not going to waste my time reading the affidavits. I'm going to tell you why. Why? Because discernment says, no. Discernment says, she a lie. I'm sorry. That's what discernment says. You know what I'm saying? Where there's a little extra, there's a lot extra.
Yes, indeed.
So I don't need to read the affidavits. What's a shame is that the next time, prayerfully, there's not a next time, but for sake of this argument, the next time our people are dealing with a real situation,
yes,
where they're really dealing with some not just discrimination, but some real racial pressure, right? And they really need some help. The people, again, it's the boy that cried wolf. The rest of us gonna be looking like, well, let's just wait and see what that's the, unfortunately, this is the problem. This is the problem. So yeah, I don't know. But at the end of the day, we asked questions, we waited to see, and even what's happening in Ohio right now. And I know you already said this last night, Dwayne, and you said it very calmly and all of that. I'm not so calm. So I'm going to say, if you're currently in the Ohio River Basin, where animals are dying, fish are dying, foxes are dying. There was a lady that had a whole let's call them livestock, I don't know, of chicken, a whole, what do you call it? She had a homestead, a chicken coop, whatever. She went out one day, they were alive, they were doing well. The chickens was like, hey. The next day, all of them dead, done, gone. Why? Because this vinyl chloride and the dioxin that's related to it, or byproduct of it, is killing all the livestock and the fish. Okay. If it's in the ground, like Samuel said in the chat, if it's in the ground, it's just a matter of time before it's getting down into, your springs and whatever.
This is just an idea as you're
water.
talking. I just want you to see the impact. Now, the red dot, that's where East Palestine is, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is what they're showing you is the water table around all the impacted area there. You see is impacting. It's going to impact West Virginia, extreme West Virginia, extreme west of North Carolina, Tennessee,
almost all of Tennessee,
all of Kentucky, and Indiana,
most of Indiana,
and then little part of Illinois,
the easternmost part of Illinois. And the thing is, we talking about the water, but the end of the day, they burned the chemical, so it's in the air, right? And so, I would be looking at my money, okay. And I would be looking for some type of temporary solution until I can figure out my long-term plan. All right. Whether it's an Airbnb, I don't know, but I would not be there. And don't let me have children in that area.
Oh, it's not even a question.
I'm out. O-U-T, I'm out.
It's not even a question.
It's no question. Why? One, I'm not fooling with these people. I'm not messing around with these people. I'm not waiting for them to create an info chart, okay?
Right.
A hazardous material info chart and tell me the probability of no. Or this is the 5-year projection of the harmful effects. No. Why? Because you got a railroad company that's trying not to pay out.
Right.
Okay? That's trying to minimize the reality of the situation. Because if they maximize the situation and tell y'all get up out of Dodge, you're looking at hundreds of millions, maybe billions in lawsuits and everything else. So they are mum's the word. Like, they are not trying to say jack. So if you're waiting to hear from, and people might say, hey, you're being alarmist. Yeah, that's exactly right. People usually they say, I'm not trying to be alarmed. No, I'm trying to be alarmist because I don't want my people to die.
Right.
How is that clear? Is that clear enough? Crystal, are we good? Yeah.
And as she's talking, I'm just showing you, this is the video someone took recently. This company here, this is one of those like environmental companies. They're sending the trucks out now to go to these local streams, and they ain't just testing, they're scooping up dead fish. So you're gonna see that in a moment here. I mean, it's not that long, and they're going to the local creeks right now, and they're scooping up. So that's why for me, like when I'm out, like if I'm out walking, it really breaks my heart a lot of times when I see people, when there's trash out there. I try to pick up some of it, but you may see like a little ditch and think, oh, someone threw some beer bottles or something up there, but that's eventually going to get into your own water supply. See, here you go. They're out here scooping up dead fish. And then I just turned the volume off. And I think she's going to probably like show, try to zoom in on one of them or something like that here. So they're trying to clean this up on the quickness,
right?
And trying to get people not to really take notice of what happened and what is happening.
Guess who wouldn't be in that water? I'd be like, here's my 2-week notice. I would not be in that water scooping up anything. You couldn't pay me to do it.
Right. So that's what they're doing right now as we speak in that area, and I may have some other stuff here too, some other clips of what's going on there, but
that's something.
But yeah, so family, this is why again, I'm with this situation, it took place in Colorado. It's good that we can segue from that perfectly and use that as an object lesson as to why not to get to fully invest yourself in stuff that's nothing more than just a distraction. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to see if I had anything else here that was pointing to what was going on. Let me see. Let's see. Trying to see right quick here. And then, now they got the balloons and the unidentified flying objects and stuff that they're that they're chasing anything at all to get us distracted, anything at all. And black folks, don't worry, they have a special package for you, and it's all about emotionalism. And let's get some white cops up here that and let's get the cast is the same. It's like how back in the day, BET, man, they used to every day they was playing Sanford and Son over and over again. I'm like, can't y'all play anything else? Sanford and Son and Good Times and Sanford and Son. And that's it. And then with these little emotional campaigns that they engage on, it's the same cast of characters, white cops and black folks. It's the same thing over and over again. Anyway, so here's a video. This is a short video here. This brother here, he's kind of breaking down, just the seriousness of the situation out there in up in Ohio. So it's a 5-minute video. Let's take a listen.
So, assuming that you don't live under a rock, I'm going to figure that you heard something, or at least a little anything, about the explosion or controlled explosion that happened out in Palestine, Ohio. The big issue here is that there's scant media coverage. Number one, on the original derailment, which again, you can maybe find a couple of articles or you can find people waving it off, but they're not front page news. It's not given the magnitude that it deserves. But big issue here is that this has the potential to turn into a massive health crisis. So we're talking rivaling the ground zero 9/11 first responders issue, where people were suddenly dying from the effects of all of those particles and dust, but they were told by the experts that it was okay, right? So, long story short, you had a tanker overturned. This tanker basically was brought to you by the Norfolk Southern Rail Company, and they basically had lay of the land to do their own investigations, handle everything, and the EPA finally stepped in, albeit a little bit too late. But their basic premise was that they were just going to burn this gas, create what